Hi everyone, this is round 3 of the Myerstown March Quads on March 1st. I am playing James Firestone, an older gentleman in the central Pennsylvania chess area. And yeah, we're around the same rating. Oh, I listed my rating as 1858. I think that's slightly wrong. I think I'm a bit lower. I think I'm like 1849. We're around the same rating. It's game in 40, delay 5. I won my first 2 rounds, and everyone else... So there's one player with 0 points, one player with 1 point, and James also has 1 point. So if I draw, I get first place, I win $100. If I lose, I only tie for first, and it could be up to a 3-way tie for first, and I only get $33 if that's the case. So I really don't want to draw. I don't want to lose. I would either draw or win, preferably win. You know, it's my first one back in over a month. I want to win. I would love to start gaining some of the many ELO points I've lost over the past like 6 months. So with that being said, let's hop right in. James plays e4, and I play the good old Caro, and he plays a fantasy variation. I play this on the white side, and I love playing with it and against it. These positions are very exciting. And as James put it after the game, because I told him I also played, and I said it's really fun. And he said, yeah, the reason why it's a lot of, a lot of Caro compositions are very positional, but the fantasy variation, it tends to be very tactical. It doesn't have to be. Black can play more positionally with e6 and just maintain a more solid structure. But I don't like to play like that, or I don't always like to play like that. I sometimes like to, but not in this case, because a fantasy is dubious, and you can really go for the throat when someone plays a fantasy, and it's often the best to do that, or at least it's the most exciting to do that. So I go queen b6. This is the way I like to play play against the fantasy, and he plays knight c3, very normal move. I trade in the center and strike with e5. Very principled approach. My opponent, he played knight f3. I took on d4. So now he has an isolated king's pawn, the IKP, and yeah. So long term, it's going to be a weakness. But let's take stock in this position. So what has Black done? Black has done a majority of pawn moves, and only has made one move that's not a pawn move, which was a queen move. So Black has not followed the opening principles. And that can make this position very dangerous, because White is more developed. They have 2 pieces out that aren't the queen, and they have more space in the center. So they're going to try to castle quickly, attack, and not make it to the endgame. White is not planning for an endgame to happen. So I play h5, which is a move I've seen before, and the move I'm familiar with. Is part of my prep, I guess you could say. And the main idea is that the most natural move for White, bishop c4, is not that good because of bishop g4 after knight f3 blocking, or queen moves, either way. But if knight f3 blocks, then you go bishop e7, a very powerful move in this case, because it prevents h3, because now bishop h4 check. So very, very neat. It's a very, very neat idea. So that's the kind of the main premise of that idea. So my opponent goes bishop e2, which is very solid. It attacks the pawn. They're never threatening to take it because this knight on d4 is loose. So if I play like knight d7, then takes, and then takes, and I'm up a piece for I'm up. I have 2 pieces for a rook, which is usually good for the side with the 2 pieces that has taken the 2 pieces. So yeah, so I do play knight d7 because one of the key ideas against this fantasy in this variation, like with the IKP, is you want to control the square in front of the IKP, which is in this case e5. So I want to get one of my knights to that square and prevent him from ever pushing it forward. I thought there was a chance he would play bishop f4 here, allowing me to take, and then maybe he would play knight a5, and then if I went check, then he goes c6, and then if I go back, I was just like, I don't think I'm better here, like, at all. I mean, he can castle, and like, he has, like, look how underdeveloped I am. Like, he has so much compensation. Yeah, like, so I definitely thought he might just allow me to take on b2 and then go knight a4, but instead he goes a3, which I don't think he had to do. But now when if he goes like, I don't know, like as I play like a random move like G6, if he goes bishop f4 now, well now knight a5 just traps my queen because it took away b3 or took away b4 and it took away a3. So queen is trapped. I have to give up a bishop to maybe get out of it, but even then it doesn't look like I get out of it. Okay, so after a3, I just developed my other knight. I think for a while here. I think for at least like 5 minutes. It's because I'm trying to figure out what I want to do. Like sometimes in positions like this, knight e7 is actually better than knight f6. Because like let's say castles and then knight g6 and then both knights control e5 and this knight controls f4. I forgot what I didn't like about it. I think part of what I didn't like about it was like bishop. Actually, thinking out loud. Actually, my knight guards f5 from this knight. I wonder if I forgot about that. I might have forgotten that this knight guards f5. I might have forgotten about that. But bishop e3, knight here. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I do have to be worried about like a move like knight e6 in this position. Like in this position, with this knight blocking e7, like if I take the bishop for free, I get checkmated. So because the queen guards, d8, d7, and d6, so I have to be very careful here. Like there's so many ways to go wrong. So yeah, but very, very, very scary stuff. Very scary stuff. Like even yeah, if let's just keep going down this variation with here, yeah, I want to go knight g6, and maybe it still is okay, and maybe this is a lot better because now if knight e6 I can take, and if check I have king d8, and now this knight is trapped on the edge of the board, and I can go like knight f4 maybe. Yeah, this might be okay actually. This might be okay for black, or maybe even good for black. I'm not really sure, to be honest. Knight queen d2 seems solid, but then I have a check. And like, do I want to trade queens? I actually like, maybe ideally not. Maybe ideally I don't trade queens, but I don't really see that many alternatives. And this knight is stuck in the corner, so if I can capture that knight, that'd be really good. Like for example, like takes, I attack the pawn, and then if rook d8, then like bishop here, and then if bishop takes, for example, and then actually you don't have to take. You could go check, then king here. Yeah, maybe this is okay actually. Yeah, maybe this is. Like rook g1. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Oh, in this case, I would probably just take, and then go here, probably. That's probably what I would do. And then I can bring my bishop out the next turn, and then now my rook guards d8, although now the g7 pawn is hanging, so that's really annoying. Yeah, it's pretty tricky. It is pretty tricky. Admittedly, it's very tricky, so I'm not really sure what I would have done. Not really sure. But point is, there's a lot of tricks in this position. So, anyways, all I have to say, after 8th, I went at knight f6. Knight e7, there's a lot of... I mean, even now, he goes bishop e3. But here, it's a little bit better for me, because after like knight e5, now if he plays knight e6, attacking my queen... well, firstly, if I go queen a5, then like b4, and now my queen is trapped, actually. It's actually really trapped. I guess I could sacrifice my bishop. Still not super ideal. Queen d2. Queen d2, but then I guess I take. So I guess, yeah, I guess he can't be too. I guess you could probably throw this in. And now the king cannot go to d8 to attack the knight because of the queen. So the king e7, then maybe queen d2 now, and yeah, maybe this is pretty good. Maybe this is pretty good. I mean, not easy. Definitely not easy. Like, part of me is tempted here to just go like bishop g4, which looks kind of interesting. I could also, if I really wanted to, I could also just go knight takes e4, but it looks kind of crazy. Like who would play chess like this? I'm not attacking, but he can just castle. So doesn't look super appealing, and this rook is still hanging on a8. So it does not look very appealing at all. So that's why if knight e6 here, I just take the bishop, and after knight c7 check, I go king e7, and if knight takes, I actually thought like this position could be a repetition. Like if I go like knight fg4, for example, you know, the bishop's pinned to the king, and like I actually thought like, oh wow, like, what happens if, you know, queen d2, you know, well in the case of queen d2, I could probably just go check here and takes, probably takes, and a rook d1. Yeah, but actually, wait, why did I think queen d2 was not good? Whoops, queen d3 is definitely not good, but queen d2, I thought that. Why did I think this was not good? Yeah, no, maybe this is good. Maybe this is good for white. I thought it wasn't good. Maybe he should have played knight e6. What's the I don't think there's a difference if I put the other knight there, right? Queen d2. I mean, it's a small difference, but seems pretty negligible. Yeah, maybe I just take here, and after rook here. Yeah, I mean, and part of me wants to play g6 to go bishop h6. And that looks kind of promising. Like, queen here, you know, looking for checks. Then I can go check here. Oh, well, now the king's getting away. Like, part of me almost just wants to go like, you know, when the king's here, go bishop h6 now. Go bishop h6 now, which looks pretty good. But then after like check, king here, I guess he runs out of checks. Although in this case, my king is coming out to the center, which looks kind of scary. Like, now the knight's hanging, so it's actually probably great for me. Because yeah, if you take, then this is just going to be check and almost mate, because the queen can take and sacrifice itself. So it's pretty crazy. It gets pretty wacky and crazy. Like so I wasn't sure what to think about queen d2. Like I thought I might have at least a draw if I'm not winning. I wasn't 100% sure, but I thought it can't be super bad for me. Like that was kind of my impression. But none of that happened. None of that happened. Instead, he went like knight f5, and then you know, attacking my queen, attacking. And that's another thing is, like, if I had moved my bishop out to e7 too early, then bishop e3 would have came with the threat of knight f5 attacking my bishop and attacking g7 and attacking my queen at the same time. So now, because now the knight defends the bishop when it's on f5, so it's a lot more annoying. So anyways, queen c7. He was queen d2, and I thought for a while, and I really wasn't sure on what I wanted to do. Part of me really wanted to take on e4, you know, attacking the queen, attacking the knight. After knight takes, I can go bishop takes f5, and after knight g3 or something like that, bishop g6. And then if he castles, I was just like, like, I don't know about this. Like, it looks kind of dangerous here. So but I could probably just go bishop e7. And it's probably totally fine for me. Like, you know, even if like, you know, rook ad, I can probably just castle here, probably. Although in this case, I do lose the h5 pawn, so maybe it wouldn't be that great. Although in this case, maybe we can just throw in this move, you know, rook fd8 and queen c3. Let me just take. And if takes, then maybe I can go bishop f6, and you know, maybe this is not bad at all. But I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. So anyways, instead of all that, and you know, I had a hard time evaluating. I was getting lower on time, although I think I still had 15 minutes at that point, which is plenty of time. But I come up with the idea, like, you know what, I'm just going to take on f5 and go rook d8, forcing the queen to go back to c1. And, you know, if you don't go to c1, you know, you can go block, then c5, and then if you take, then I take, and then And now your queen is still, being hit. And then if you go check, whoopsies. I actually thought like maybe he might throw in a check. Like this check would be an interesting check to throw in. And then I would go here. And then if you went here, then this would be a check. But then I guess you would go here. And now my king's placement is pretty awkward. Admittedly, it is very awkward. Maybe that's what would have happened. Yeah, and then like knight g4, you go h3, but then probably I would just take and then go back and then go f6 next, or maybe king f6 next. I'm not sure exactly what I would do yet. King f6 looks a little bit dangerous with the knight being able to hop in and check, but I'm really not sure. I'm really not sure here. But there's a lot to think about. But anyways, queen c1 is a lot more natural because just get out of the pin. Like don't put yourself in a pin. That's usually not a good idea. But yeah, after queen c1, I was feeling pretty good about my position. My knight is very centralized, but both my knights are. And yes, I pushed h5, but I'm just gonna finish development and maybe castle, maybe not, maybe just go king f8. But I go bishop d6. I thought about bishop e7, but I didn't like bishop f4, and I didn't like this pin. I went bishop d6 instead, which is nothing wrong with that. But now I went bishop g5, and so now if I do castle, it's pretty bad. Like he can just take and then take, and like why am I allowing his queen to get in? He doesn't even have to take the pawn first. He can go queen h6 first to really bury in my king and not allow it to move at all. Which looks pretty unpleasant to say the least. Like, you don't need to be a genius. And now like knight e4 and knight takes f6, checkmate is coming. Not very pleasant at all. So that's why after bishop g5, it does pin the knight to my rook, but I don't really care. I went knight eg4, and at first I was actually calculating for a while on if after bishop takes g4, should I go bishop g3 check? Because after pawn takes and king takes, my rook is open here, and after let's say like king, well if king here, that's just bad because of queen takes. Oh well, firstly I could do queen takes g4 or queen takes e2. Probably thinking out loud, probably queen takes g2, and now if king up, now I can go check, and now if king up. I could probably, there's got to be a mate somewhere. Actually, this looks like mate soon because of blocks and checkmate. So yeah, so I was actually thinking about it for a long time, but I actually decided against going bishop g3 check because of king f1, and I just couldn't see a follow-up. Like, in hindsight, maybe this was a really good idea because a knight takes g4, I'm threatening, check, and if you defend with queen f4, I don't know. I think that is the defense. If you go queen f4, that is the defense. Like even if I go knight h2 check, you can just take because the queen x-rays the defense of the rook. So yeah, I think that's why I didn't play it. Thinking out loud, I think that's why, because yeah, there's really nothing else to do. Well, there's really nothing else to do. I mean. Yeah, I think you're just going to lose. Black's going to lose, I mean. So, yeah, I ended up not going bishop g3 check because, queen f4 existed. So, I took on g4, or immediately, which I decided that before I was going to make my move. And then he plays queen e3 check. And here, for the life of me, I was expecting queen e3 check. I was expecting it. But and my decision was beforehand was that like I'm just gonna castle by hand. I'm gonna go king d7, and now I'm threatening to pin his queen to his rook. I'm gonna go king c8 and castle queenside by hand. That was my decision. But that was a dumb decision because I just lose a7. So if he castles, which is what happened in the game, if I go king c8, he takes on a7, and I was like, oh man, and like that's not really comfortable, and the thing is, this was a mistake. However, I should have still went for it because after he takes on a7, I can just take on a2. And if he goes check, I just block. Like it's not the end of the world. Yes, it's uncomfortable. Yes, it's probably worse for white or sorry, for worse for black. But it is what it is. You move on with your life. You know, if rook takes and like if rook takes, and if rook takes, then queen takes, and the bishop defends the queen. You know, like it's fine. And like and even if like rook takes, and rook f1, then well in this case the queen would be hanging. But like and even if here like you can just go like takes and actually yeah. You can trade more rooks, and it's uncomfortable, but it's probably fine. It's probably fine. Like black isn't lost. Black isn't lost because the h2 pawn is hanging. But I'm just stupid. I'm like, oh wait, I calculate. Okay, if I play b6, he sacrifices his rook. Of course, if I take with the king, is checkmate. Very shortly, or at the very least, I lose back my exchange, and with more material to come. Oh, actually, no. Actually, if king takes, then just bishop f4 check. That's good enough. So if I play queen takes, then now to rook d1, I have knight d5, and I don't know what I was thinking because he wins back the exchange, and now I just have like a really bad position now. Because he can just take, and like at a bare minimum, well, probably not taking is not even the best move. Probably just knight e4. Knight e4 attacking the queen, and after this move, queen e7 or something like that, c4. Like, it's just bad. Like, that idea was bad. That was not a good idea. Like, what am I thinking? And and yeah, I mean, I guess after knight, I think because the queen was hanging. Like, after bishop takes rook, I take here, you take here, I take here, and now I'm up in exchange somehow. Maybe that's what I was calculating. Yeah, that the queen was hanging and I somehow up in exchange, and maybe that makes sense. But the thing is, though, he just takes that bishop. He just takes my knight first. And now all that calculation was thrown out the window because I just did not calculate bishop takes knight first. And b6 is just such a dumb move. Like, it's probably just slightly worse for black, but I don't do that though. I just play b6 was just bad because now he trades and now he sacrifices his rook, and now I'm just down a piece because I can't take it. I can't take his rook, or if I take it with the queen, I get my queen pinned. If I take it with the king, I get checkmated immediately. So now he trades. He plays g6 or sorry g3 to not allow me to take the h2 pawn, and now he just wins. I play longer just because I'm just trying to not. I'm just so mad at myself. Like I had a good position. And then I screw it all up. Like if I just go back here for a second, like after queen they just go king f8. Go king f8. And castles, okay, whoop-de-doo. It's not that bad. Firstly I could just take I could take the h2 pawn. And if takes rook f8, I can just go king g8. It's not that bad. It's really not bad at all. Like it's yeah, it can be a bit scary, especially with bishop takes and like the position is open. But in this case, I have like a fork. Like it's scary, but it's not bad. And I can just go king f8 there, and I have a very pleasant position. I don't even have to take that h2 pawn if I don't want to. I can just go rook h5. Like rook h5 here seems really good because now I'm threatening to take and then fork legitimately. That's my threat. So probably if rook h5, he probably would go here. King g1. King g1, yeah. But anyways, I don't know. Looking at it now, it does still look pretty scary. But I thought I was playing pretty well, but I wasn't. So anyways, after I was down a piece, we shuffled. He converted. There's a billion ways to win, and I had no plan. After b4, I just allowed myself to flag. Basically, like I had like 3 seconds for a long time, and I just like let myself flag. So because he's winning on the board and nothing I can do, and I was just upset at myself. So I end round 3 with a loss, and I ended up tying for first. James won, and so we both finished with 2 points, and I got $50 instead of 100. But it is what it is. I definitely deserve to lose that game with how how much I missed in my calculation. Like it just, I wasn't doing too good on that one. So, but you know what? It is what it is, and I didn't go down rating, and I really thought my first two games I thought I played really well, and I'm very proud of myself for how I played in the first two games, and I didn't flag in any of my games, so that's already a big success. So, oh well. Anyway, with that being said, I'm just gonna end it here, and you know what? I'll see you guys in the next one. Well, I'll have the game review, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.